Is Poppy what you'll miss most about HQ? So yeah, I imagine that some of you listening to this may not be aware, but we're taping this on Wednesday night, June the 21st. Thursday, June the 22nd will be my last day on Highly Questionable. I have been doing Highly Questionable for 4 years, 1 month, and it'll be 11 days. No, 9 days. We did started on the 13th. Um, I wrote something that I guess by the time this is available for most people on podcasts, I wrote something for ESPN that they're going to put out on some blog. I just threw together kind of quick because I don't think I've been in a position to kind of grapple with like the whole idea of this being the last day I've done this show. Like you have to realize something. This is the first time I'd ever had a job for more than a year and a half. Like I've been doing this job for 4 years. That is way longer than any job that I have ever had. I have worked as an adult basically as a freelancer. Like I've never worked in a situation where I work with like the same people every day for like longer than a year. Like I've just not done that. Like it was just so much of that was completely different. And it happened to be on a television show. Um and like a television show I didn't think I was going to be on, and a television show that I liked a lot before I got onto it. And then there was this whirlwind of circumstances, and then boom, like I wind up on this show, and it's not like we had this plan for me on this show. Like one day there were two people, weekend comes, then it's three. And we're just going to figure this thing out, right? Like, I mean, if you think about it, if you watch that show, like nothing really fundamentally changed about the structure of it, right? It was just like, all right, cool. We're going to pull another chair up and we're going to get this thing right. And like we did. Like, and I think that's maybe the craziest thing about this. Like when I really stop and think about it. This show was on ESPN2 when I started doing it. And then at some point, I guess it was about a couple years in, they just did a little experiment to see how it would go if they put it on the big network. And then we never left. All right. I mean, like that's not a small thing. Like now you've got kind of a lot of these shows that have migrated over to ESPN, but at that time that really wasn't happening like that. Like there was a certain like gratification that I personally felt from that because I'd done programs that I thought had been successful. Like I think my radio show in Raleigh, for example, I had numbers to back up the fact that it was successful, but it didn't ultimately survive. Like this is the first time that I've been able to be part of something that was not only doing well, but got in effect a promotion of sorts for the fact that it had done well. You know, like that, I mean, that's a big deal, man. Like at least it felt like it to me. And, you know, that didn't happen because I specifically was on the show. Like adding another person was necessary. I happened to be who the other person was. But to be a part of something that works that way is like really dope, you know? So for me, like on a zillion different levels, the last 4 years have been just like complete and total change. You know, the job legitimately has changed my life. And I mean, some ways good, some ways bad. Like, you know, change can be a bit unwieldy. Like I like to think I'm who I was. At least I want to say that I'm who I was. Now, I mean, I'm not exactly the same person. Everybody evolves to a degree, but I guess there's a certain level of energy that I've always concentrated on the fact that like I like who I was before all this started. Like I didn't really need this to fill any holes. Like, this is going to validate me and turn me into some like completely different person. But life's different than it was in 2013. You know, like it's not the same. And you know, the overwhelming majority of those ways is positive, and they're a byproduct of being on a television show and being on it with like really good people who had been overwhelmingly good to me. In ways that they didn't necessarily have to be, right? And so then you just get to a point where you're doing work you like, you're doing work you like with people that you respect. Um, at different points it's rocky for various reasons, and you got to figure that stuff out. But doing good work with people you respect on a network that's pretty highly respected, dude, that's a win. Like, when I took this job to do this show, like, and some of you were around when this happened, right? So I take this job to do this show. What would you say best case scenario was, like, going into it? Like, what would you think the best case scenario was? Like, would you think necessarily in 4 years, hey, they're going to develop a vehicle built around you and someone else that you like a great deal and respect very much. You're going to have a radio show on the same network, and you're going to start like putting your hands in a few other things. Like, what you got that's better than that? How much better could it possibly have worked out? There's just a thing about stuff working out also means that you kind of got to move on. And, like I'm talking to you now the night before the final episode. And so, like, I don't even really know what to do with it, to be honest. There's so much other stuff that just, is going on at this time, things that generally go on in these times, things, specific to my life and everything else that, like, I know what tomorrow is, right? Like the day before I left work, I took a whole bunch of my suits and put them in the car to, get them out of there or whatever. Like, I'm aware that this is happening. I just don't have a great, like, yeah, man, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. So, tune into Highly Questionable. See if we turn into a three-headed blubbering mess. Because Dan's probably going to cry. He's more likely to do said things and more comfortable doing them in public. But I cried at the end of every radio show that I had. So, like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm above it. I would leave my last words on the Morning Jones where just play the fucking music. Because I just kind of lost it in that point. Yeah. It's like, how do you feel when something you love is ending, but it's just what it's got to be? It's just what it's got to be. It's been good. It has been fantastic. Talk to you guys later.